Over to you, Hendrik.
Yeah, thank you for introducing, and I'm really happy that I cover or can explain you about how Cloud ALM helps to drive your transformation. Before we start, I just was thinking of to have a short poll to you. What is your experience with Cloud ALM, and how far you are in the transformation journey? It would be great if you could respond on the poll.
I've launched the poll now. Go ahead and feel free to answer 2 of our questions. So the answers are coming in. Maybe Hendrik, you can already comment on the first
I can
results.
do. Not surprisingly, I see that it's known but not in use. This is also what I felt during discussions, and that many of you are still evaluating but didn't start the project yet. So for me, I think we can end the poll. I think that is fine. So before we start, let's shortly introduce myself. So my name is Hendrik Fuhrmann. I'm part of the product team and mainly responsible for the global rollout of Cloud ALM, SAP Cloud ALM, and also guiding our internal colleagues to help us to transport the message. Why is it helpful to use Cloud ALM for driving the transformation? And what I have planned for today is, first of all, to explain what we understand and what is our vision in transformation. How Cloud ALM fits into this picture, and also what I think is important to understand about the clean core principles and what Cloud ALM can help you or already supports in this area. And then I would like to give you some key takeaways, also further information, and then we can come to question and answers. So let's start. So our big vision is the transformation portfolio connected with LeanIX, who's managing the enterprise architecture of your company, and Signavio with a focus on process analysis, process optimization. Our goal is with Cloud ALM to manage the life cycle, to support you during projects, operations, and services. I will come back later also into details. We are planning to have some integrations with LeanIX to make our project information available to LeanIX, also the landscape information to LeanIX, and with Signavio we also are planning to have an integration how to manage the processes which we have. This is our big picture, what we want to support. So coming back a bit, so why using Cloud ALM? So Cloud ALM consists on several areas. You see this here on the right side. Adopt the latest innovation. It's helping you to implement projects to do this conversion to Cloud ERP, from design to deploy. Just also come to the details just afterwards. Then keep your business running. This means after your life, it helps you to detect the issues, to analyze them, and also to correct them. It's all in Cloud ALM. And also the delivery of typical SAP services, like going live maintenance services, optimization services, is prepared, delivered, and also the results is shared through Cloud ALM. And probably you know about that, but maybe what is new, that Cloud ALM is also the platform to drive your clean core initiative. So means as soon you decided for conversion, even you do a new implementation, it's always about how to keep the clean core. I also come to details later. Okay, let's move forward. So what is Cloud ALM for implementation about? So we have these 4 different areas. First, we start with design phase, means focusing on the processes. We are consuming best practices, content, and as well as process diagrams to manage the fit standard versions. And it's all about, if you're in this design phase, to manage your requirements, to say, okay, what are my requirements, what I expect. Then in the build phase, it's about what are my configuration activities, what are my tasks, what I need to distribute to the project team. So this is about the tasks. Of course, you want to test all of these activities, these implementations. We offer here manual as well as automated testing. I also come later on this a bit more. And finally, it's about how to manage your changes. So Cloud ALM also contains capabilities to manage your transports. And of course, all of that you can also analyze. You can also report on this entire process by several reporting capabilities. On the other side, I talked just in the beginning about operations, means detecting the issues before they come up, then analyzing the root cause on technical and the process level, and also correct them. We have, especially when they are repeating issues, we want to ensure that they are also automatically corrected. And we just released some AI capabilities like the dynamic thresholding for one of our capabilities, and even the first Joule pilot to also help you to accelerate in this resolving process. And on the third side, there is the service part. This means if you order a service, you can then also manage the services of your landscapes, and also this preparation task. All is done in Cloud ALM. The delivery of the services, also sharing the results, is done, and also issues and follow-ups is done in Cloud ALM. This means there is no exchange of documents necessary. So this is also accelerating this entire service delivery process. So, but you might ask, where should I start? This is always the question, where should I start? What fits to me? What fits to my needs? And for this, we offer a so-called adoption cases. So we have different kinds. So I think the one is usually how to manage my implementation project, especially thinking about grow with SAP for our mid-sized customers, or rise with SAP for our customers want to move to cloud ERP. And we have even more. We have even to support methodologies and best practice content for Ariba, for SuccessFactors. Of course, we also offer the transition path to S4 for the conversion. I will also show you later in a short product demo how this looks real in Cloud ALM. And you might ask how I can manage my testing, my upgrades, as well as regression. So there's also adoption cases for this product, especially for the automatic testing. We offer this for all known cloud solutions. And last but not least is how I manage my developments, my deployments. Cloud ALM offers capabilities for S/4HANA Cloud, public as well as private edition, and also how to manage these extensions on our business technology platform. So we have talked about adoption cases. But how do we treat Cloud ALM? How do we see Cloud ALM? We see Cloud ALM as a central conversion platform. And why this is important? Yeah, because there are different sources of content. Yeah, so we have information which comes from the readiness check. We have information process code which could come from a digital discovery center, from Activate, from Tricentis, from test automation, and as well as from external tools like Jira. So our intention is really to offer integrations. Either they are already available, or we are delivering this with an API to be here, the platform to manage the entire conversion project. And I think this shows a bit also the intention that, for example, you're managing your requirements in Jira. Yeah, that we offer here this is important. Because think of if you want to do a test project, or you want to continue testing or start testing, and you're looking for something, and requirements are always kind of key. And so there's no need to do this directly in Cloud ALM. So you can use a task API to ensure there is a traceability between requirements and testing. So, but coming back to this topic of conversion, so with Cloud ALM, as I mentioned, we have the integration with the readiness check. So you probably know that that you can see the results of the readiness check in SAP Fuhrmann. This is probably known to you, but what you see here, I will just shortly demo this in a minute, is that you can directly work with Cloud ALM to follow up on these activities. And this is useful because at the moment, we just see the readiness check results. But what to do next? This means here we have the opportunity to have an integration with Cloud ALM based on certification items as well as custom code. This means you decide, okay, these are my certification items, this is my custom code, these are my business functions or add-ons. And now the integration is that you can create or assign this to requirements or user stories. This means some changes or some custom codes probably needs to be redesigned, needs to be developed, adapted, which could lead into a user story, which you could also assign them to a responsible developer. But there might be also others which could lead into certain requirements. And this is a good news, so you can really follow up on the results of the readiness check in Cloud ALM. And this, I like to show how this looks like. So I switched now to one of our Cloud ALM tenants. This is the initial home screen, what you could see right now. And if you're moving here to implementation, then you have at the bottom the so-called SAP Readiness Check card. And you see here, there's also different kind of scenarios like conversion upgrade, BW conversion, and so on, which is also supported by Cloud ALM. If you upload the results into Cloud ALM, it will then see here. I already prepared here an example for S4. And what you can see here now, that the results of the simplification items, as well as the custom code and so on interface, can be directly accessed here. And let's go, for example, here to the simplification items per activities. You could, for example, also filter for custom code and interfaces. You see, there is already an assignment of follow-up documents, follow-up activities. You see that the conditions for some of them mandatory. This means they must be done. Yeah. What is now the integration? Yeah. This, for example, you see it, this is a custom code adaptation. This means if I would pick up, for example, this item and say follow up, yeah, and say create new, I could now decide what is the relation of this item. Now you could say, would that lead to a new requirement, or is that a user story? Probably in this case it's a user story, as this required some changes. Yeah, and then I would, for example, pick up one of my projects, and could also here change the name of the transaction. Let's say, for example, this is for the mandatory step. Say create, and then this is created. Yeah, so you can directly click on this one. You see there is a follow-up document created, and of course, you know, you want to see probably how this looks like. So if I click now on this, I directly jump into the task management app in Cloud ALM, and you see there is now the relationship to the readiness check. Yeah? And this task can now be assigned to somebody else. You can see, you can also set some dates, teams responsible that this item is being processed. And of course, you can then also later report on this. And this is an integration that you can create based on the results. A direct document, like the user story is in this example, and assign this then to teams or a certain responsible. And this just to give a short glimpse about how Cloud ALM looks like. I would like to go back to my presentation. All right. So let's assume you have done this entire conversion project with Cloud ALM, and now did all of the steps. But then this topic of clean core comes in the game. You probably heard right now a lot of this topic, and I really like to really easy to explain this in one slide. What does it mean? So we have clean core. So this means we have obviously clean. Yeah, clean to me means to be up to date, unmodified, efficient, and cloud compliant. On the other side, we have core. Yeah, means we have that definition of processes, of data, of integration, operations, and on this implemented software stack. This means clean, obviously, we need to ensure, or think about, are extension really necessary? And core means also to look at what are the right tools and methods to do that. And now I like to explain what does it mean in terms of Cloud ALM. In Cloud ALM, we're already providing for these 5 dimensions of processes, accessibility, data, integration, and operation. We already provide a lot of features and functions to support that. I'd like now to walk a bit through that, what is being supported. So as you can see on the process side, we have the consumption of best practices, execute this fit to standard, but you can also design your own process if necessary, because this goal is still to fit or stick to the standard. And we have some capabilities like process monitoring to ensure that the processes are smooth and run. And the readiness check plays here a key role to remediate the simplification items. For extensibility, it's about the testing, it's about agile build, so working with user stories and sprint monitoring of these extensions, and also the readiness check again for custom code plays here an important role. For data, it's also the readiness check helps to resolve quality issues. For integration, we have also our integration exception monitoring, and for operations. In general, we have the monitoring capabilities, but we have also written a readiness check for upgrades, which supports us. So let's come to some more details. What is clean process? It's about enhancing the standard solution from us, where competitive advantages can be created, but with the proper governance and excellence. And our recommendation is use the reference. Sorry, there is okay. And as you can see, there are some, that's why this was popping up. There's a demo in the background, which explains a bit our example of Clean Core. So Clean Core roadmap is a roadmap in Cloud ALM. Sorry for this. All right. And let's move to the next, to the extensibility. What are good extensions? Okay, it's probably coming up again. We have here side by side. Sorry for that. So we have here side by side extensions which are running on BTP, which can be used for extending the stack. But overall, there must be a strong governance to support that. On the other side, in Cloud ALM, we have the integrated deployment. Means to manage various transport, BTP transport, as well as S4 transports. Clean data, what means clean data? Cloud ALM helps also to make the data compliant. Means to manage the data quality, improving accuracy, consistencies, and so on. So for here also the readiness check can be used to ensure that that the data are clean, and that the volume, the data volume is that to identify the unused or outdated data. So this is also one part which can be used here. On the other side, it's about integration. So use standard APIs and avoid these traditional APIs like RFC and IDOC. Also extend side by side using our integration suite. This is also important, and use, for example, the monitoring of the application interface framework. Here in our example, our integration monitoring to identify these errors and exceptions. And this helps you also to make you compliant and identify the issues. On the other side, Cloud ALM helps you also to make, in general, because we have various monitoring capabilities to identify that. One of them is, for example, business process monitoring. Business process monitoring helps to identify the throughput and backlog key figures of your landscape. And And with them, it's possible to also set some thresholds. In the meantime, we have a so-called auto discovery, which ultimately also identifies what processes you are using. Here this also helps you to easily see where have you gaps in the process and how this can help.
Hendrik, we can see your slides, but not in presentation mode. Maybe you can start the presentation mode.
Yeah, I'm sorry for that. Yeah, all right. What I wanted to show today is that Cloud ALM has a lot of different opportunities to use it for your transformation. So please consider it using as a transformation. And the good thing is it can be implemented immediately because all of the content, best practice content, also the Activate content is part of Cloud ALM and is directly available. What I tried to share is with Clean Core, that there is a strong governance necessary to ensure the Clean Core principles. This means it's also a kind of, is that extension really necessary? Do I really need to have that modification? So this means even we have a lot of capabilities to monitor, to track them. This is also a kind of mindset. And this is also moving to the cloud means also moving to the mindset. So this means there are different processes where you need to try to adapt to the standard processes. And this requires also a big change. What I wanted to give you before I close is Cloud ALM is also relying on your feedback. So this means we already offer a lot of features and functions, but still you might have still some information or some capabilities we have not delivered. So please feel free to submit your request, and then also the community can vote on your request, and we can then review this and develop these features and functions. I think that's quite helpful to see also what your demands are. And last but not least, so what do you need now to, or where can you start? So all of what I have shown you is on our homepage, even more presentations, videos, and so on. And as well, you might also want to experience what's Cloud ALM in reality. So please access our public demo tenant. There you can also look at the different scenarios, at the process management, as well as the monitoring side to really understand what is needed. So how does it feel? Does it really cover my requirements? And then you can request Cloud ALM through Sub4Me, and you have to do some post-processing steps. And then it's already ready, and you can invite your users, your project team to Cloud ALM. And with that, I would be happy to take your questions.
All right, Hendrik, thank you very much for your presentation and for your demo. We have at least 2 questions or 3 questions via Q&A tool. I will bring them up right now. And to the audience, please leverage this opportunity and bring up your questions via Q&A tool or chat, or raise your hand so I can unmute you to speak up. With this, I start with the first question. Do we have system consolidation roadmap as well, like migrating ECC system data to S/4HANA existing production system?
Yeah, this is a really good question. I haven't shown that yet, but I didn't show that today. We have in Cloud ALM a so-called functionality which is called Business Center, Business Transformation Center, BTC. And with a Business Transformation Center, you could also selectively do this data transformation. You will find also information on our homepage on that. There is a function, I didn't show that today, but you're right. It's possible, and you can also use Cloud ALM for this purpose.
Hendrik, as you say, you can find it on your homepage. Maybe you can bring it up via chat. So for the convenience of the audience, if it's not a problem. Otherwise, I move to the next question.
Maybe we move to the next question. If I can, I could also share that later. Yeah, if it's okay.
Okay. The second one is we have opted for SAP S/4HANA Private Cloud Edition under RISE with SAP program. Do we have SAP Cloud ALM included, or we should buy it separately?
Also a really good question. I think it comes quite often to me. Yeah, with RISE with SAP, you have also you're also eligible. You're also it's also possible to get Cloud ALM via Safari. So it's also without any further costs.
Good news. The next one. Do you see in the future an integration of SAP Solution Manager functionalities into SAP Cloud ALM?
There are already a lot of things available. Even this was not a scope for today. Yeah, but if you see, for example, what we deliver for monitoring, when you look at the focus, how we support cloud solutions, this is even more than we offer with Solution Manager. There are, of course, our focus with Cloud ALM is still up and cloud services. Means there is not a support of Java-based, or it's not really non-ABAP system, because Java, like BTP, Cloud Foundry is of course supported with Cloud ALM. But from the monitoring perspective, I would say there's a lot of things which very comparable, even enhanced for the project. So for how to use it for project implementation, I would see the main difference is still the change management part. There are, I would say, functionalities like retrofit and cross-system object lock and downgrade protection, which is still not there. So we know that, but this is, of course, one of our high priority to also deliver that. But I would say from the process management, from the test management, this is already really useful, or already on a level where you can use it and where we have a lot of features and function already in Cloud ALM. I think so. That's why I think if you compare this, of course there are still some, I would say, variations. It's a complex question, all overall, but please use it. Start using it for monitoring, especially when you have cloud services, and for projects. Also consider this if you're using this to for the transformation to Cloud ERP. There we have already a version which is really recommended to use. Right.
Thank you very much. The next one is change request management available in SAP ALM.
Yeah, that's probably a follow-up question on this. Yes, there is. We have transfer of copies already in Cloud ALM. As I mentioned, we can manage transport with Cloud via transport management system, TMS, and Cloud TMS. Means for ABAP-based systems, BTP, and as well as S4 and all variations. But when we are talking about this and even there's a certain workflow which we which is already in Cloud ALM, starting from requirements, confirming, then starting this or creating this change request, which is a feature in Cloud ALM. So there's a couple of things already there, but there's still some features like downside protection, retrofit, cross-system object lock. This is not there. So there are still differences. So if you're using this quite intensively, then you probably need to wait still a bit. But as I said, some functionalities are in Cloud ALM. Please also look at our roadmap. There is also information what comes next, and here we specify what has been delivered and already what is our planned features and functions.
All right, thank you for that. The next one is, I hope this can be used for support pack testing, upgrades from ECC to S/4HANA. I think this can be easily integrated and automated, the test script and cycles.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. That is also a really good question. I probably showed you this to show in this readiness check. There's also, not just for conversion, it's also about upgrades. And there's also an activate roadmap for managing the S4 upgrades. So this means you can also use it for this purpose for managing your upgrades, as well when you have the test scripts available and using the integration with Tricentis. Then you can also directly, or you can also run these automated tests in Cloud ALM or through Cloud ALM and get the results back to Cloud ALM. And this can also be used. I think that's a good use case for upgrading, enhancing this with test scripts, running this through Cloud ALM, getting the results back. And this is a quite accelerator.
Right, thanks for that. The next question is, you have been referring to RISE mainly. Is Calm equally suitable for public cloud and or on-premise?
Yeah, also a great question. I think I showed this in a very, very early slides with one of our adoption cases. Yeah, of course, we have a certain focus on RISE to make this movement to cloud, but we have also customers, which say even they have a big on-prem footprint, say, okay, let's completely think new. It means completely start new, and this means for many customers, okay, let's start with using public edition. And we also support that. This is very similar to private. There's even more functionality in terms of test automation. This means you can also run these test scripts with the test automation through Cloud ALM. Means yes, this is supported with similar or maybe even more capabilities which we offer for private. So you have this also then. You can use Cloud ALM as soon as you have S/4HANA public. So that is also possible.
All right. The next question is, if a customer has change request management in Fuhrmann on-premise, is it possible migration to SAP ALM with some standard tool?
A great question, which I already come across quite often because we have a lot of big customers use Cloud ALM for, especially in focus build context, where also the change request management is one part of. And we are working still on a roadmap, a kind of guidance for this transition and transition of these scenarios like change request management. My date, what I have in mind, but don't nail me on this, is July. So we want to start in July with the first prototypes for this transition, for this migration. Of course, change request management is one key topic, as well as process management, as well as test management. How to transfer the documents, the test cases, processes from Solution Manager to Cloud ALM. This is all on our roadmap and hopefully comes quite soon.
Okay, thank you for that. The next question is, SAP Business Transformation Center can be used for ECC to S/4HANA on-premise too? Question mark. I see the document is more on S/4HANA Cloud or PCE.
Well, I have to say that's a good question. I've not. That's probably I need to take with me whether this is my information as really for private. This is I need to come back to you. Whether this is from my understanding, I would say yes, but I need to come back to confirm. I need to get in touch with the people.
All right. Then I would need to mention the name of the participant and then
This would
follow
be great,
up.
yeah.
Yeah,
This would be great, yeah. Thank you.
I will take it for follow up.
Yeah.
The next question is the Cloud ALM integrated with SAP Signavio for business process management functions.
Yeah, thank you for this question. Also a question which comes regular to me, especially when we explain, this topic of transformation portfolio, and how we interact with Linux and Signavio. At the moment, there is no integration yet available. I just mentioned this in the beginning. We plan to have something with the modeling part. I hope that we have soon something available in our roadmap. So especially for this topic, in our roadmap, in the Roadmap Explorer, which should be very known to all of you, we will announce that information as soon as this is there. And I hope we have that information quickly, as this demand is really coming from many customers.
All right. So do we need to take this question for a follow-up, or is it clear so far?
I would say as soon as this is available, we will announce this through Roadmap Explorer. So, or we even announce this through our usual social media channels. I can take this as a follow-up. That's fine. Yeah, as soon as I know, but the information maybe not come in next week or the week after. Maybe come takes still much more time.
So maybe the answer is here maybe to connect with Hendrik via, I don't know, LinkedIn probably.
Yeah, for example.
And in order to get updates on those topics, this is also valid to all of you who are keen of all these notifications, and especially to get the information when the new things are released. So I would just recommend to contact Hendrik via LinkedIn and stay connected with him.
Yeah, maybe just one idea, not just that I got now thousands of requests. We have our ALM newsletter, which you can also subscribe. Yeah, and then, for example, this would be a very important one. You would also then can subscribe, and then you would see that information. So to our ALM newsletter, then you would also be up to date.
And how the participants can subscribe to the newsletter? Do you have a link where they can do this?
Yes, maybe okay, then I show this in a second.
Maybe this would be of a value because some of the topic that you touched on.
Yeah, of course. So if you go to our Cloud ALM homepage, then and scroll a bit down, Then you have this section of events. Sorry, newsletter. I'm sorry. And then you can easily click on subscribe here.
So let me put the link to the chat to ALM.
It's just on our
homepage.
main homepage, yeah, or central homepage.
So for everyone who is interested, please, I've just posted the link to the homepage of Cloud ALM in the chat. Please click on it, scroll a little bit down, and leverage the possibility of subscribing to the newsletter, so you are then on the safe side to get the updates as they will be announced.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. For those, I can't see more questions in the chat. I can only see the question that I take for a follow-up. Now is your chance to leverage a few minutes that are left and talk to Hendrik or bring up your questions. But thank you for being so active. Thank you for being with us today. And there is one more question arrived. Any SAP certification available for Cloud ALM?
A great question. At the moment, we limit the so-called solution transformation consultant to our events, which is called the ALM Summit. And there you can make that certification. We have, so this means we have one, yeah, so called solution transformation consultant certification, but this is at the moment only related, or you can only receive that. If you need more information, let me know, then I can share you also more details on this. I will take this as a follow-up. If you're more interested in to get this, I can also let you.
All right, so this is the second question for a follow-up?
Yeah.
All right. So I can see one raised hand.
All right.
Let me try to. So let's see if it works. I at least allow to talk. Let's see if it works. There's probably some issues with unmuting, although I asked to unmute. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with speaking up. Maybe you can bring up your question via Q&A tool or chat. Unfortunately, it doesn't work, but let's see. I can't see more questions via Q&A tool. Also, no questions in the chat. We have two questions that we take for a follow-up and clarify it directly with those who raised them. From my side, thank you very much, Hendrik, for your presentation and demo and for answering all the questions. And also thank you very much to our audience for being with us. And with this, I stop the recording.